Hi everyone, and welcome to today's final Libby tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about checking items out to Libby, as well as placing holds, creating wish lists, and using our activity timeline to look at books that we've read in the past. We also will be setting up Amazon accounts if you are interested in connecting your Libby app over to Amazon. If you have a Kindle Fire or a Kindle Paperwhite, we're going to go through that process so that you know exactly what you need to do in order to begin reading on those particular devices. This is the final video in a three-part series. There are two other videos if this is the first video that you're watching. So there's one on setting up your account in Libby, as well as one on searching the collection and exploring the homepage. So you might want to go ahead and watch those first, but you're certainly welcome to watch this and then head over and get some extra information over there as well. So let's start with checking out an item. We need to find a title that we're going to check out and then look at the different features that are available to us once we check an item out. So let's go ahead and find a title. I just went to available now so that we could pick out something. Okay, and we're gonna go with this A Court of Silver Flames, all right? We can see that it's available to borrow both by the icon in the top right corner and by the fact that it tells us that we can borrow rather than place a hold. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna click borrow. We can see that there are 2 of 3 copies available in the Green Mountain Library Consortium. So that's some extra information to have. All right, and then it tells us that we are borrowing A Court of Silver Flames, and then it says for 14 days, and you notice that 14 days is underlined. This is really important, and I want to pause and talk about this for a second. So when you go to check out items, you get it for a specific amount of time. And typically when you borrow audiobooks through Libby, it's set for 7 days. You can actually change that. And you do so by clicking over the 14 days. So books are always set to 14 days, but audiobooks many times are actually set to 7 days. So if you saw that the title you were borrowing is for 7 days and you wanted it for longer, you go ahead and click on this, and then you can change it to 14 days. If you know you're going to read it very quickly, you could also click down to 7 days, whatever your preference is. But some people find that they really need 14 days to get through an item, and you should change it before you borrow, because you cannot change it after you have already borrowed the item. So it's important to do it on this screen when you see it. So we're going to borrow this item for 14 days. Here is our library card. It lets us know how many books we already have out. So it looks like we already actually have a title out. And then it lets us know how many holds are available on our account. So if we are using our account on and off, this is a good way to just get a sense of what is going on in our account if we're going to continue to browse and look for items. So we're going to go ahead and click borrow. And now we have borrowed A Court of Silver Flames. We get 3 options after we've borrowed it at the bottom. One is to open the book immediately, and you can do this if you're going to read your book right within the Libby app on your device. You could go back to browsing if you want to look for other titles to borrow or hold, or you can go to your shelf. Going to your shelf is really important if you're going to send your item over to a Kindle device. So we're going to go over to the shelf and talk about the things that we'll see over there. So here's our shelf, and if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see your toolbar on the right-hand side that the book stack is highlighted in green. So we are over on our shelf right now, and we can see books that we are currently on loan to us. And there are some tags at the top, so there's our loans. We could look at books that we have on hold. We don't have holds right now, or books that are tagged for us. And we'll get rid of that for now. Okay, so let's look at some of the things that we can do with our titles when they're sitting on our shelf. So first is figuring out what we want to read with. Anytime that we download a book and we haven't selected what we want to read it on, we're going to see this read with. We can see on this book that we selected to read with Kindle, so now it will always say read with Kindle. So anytime you touch that, it will automatically direct you over to your Kindle app, okay? So we're going to go ahead and click on this, and we can see that it says, where would you like to read A Court of Silver Flames? If it's this app, you would click Libby and you can read it right within your app. But if you needed to read it on a Kindle, like a Paperwhite, you would want to click on this. And what this is going to do is it's going to send you over to Amazon, and you're going to need to sign into your account to access this. So, let's see. Just have to remember. Have to remember the password I made for this. Okay. All right. All right. So now that we've signed into our account, we can see that we can borrow this book. So it says that, so if we look to the far right hand side, it first asks us if this is not our account, we can sign out. Otherwise, it says that we can get the library book. We would click on this, and then it would deliver it to our Kindle and any other devices that are signed into Kindle. So this would be any like Kindle Fire tablet or a Paperwhite. Anytime that you get on your tablet, it will automatically sync, and then it'll bring up this library book that you borrowed. So that's what you do if you want to read it with a Kindle. We're not going to borrow it because we don't want to borrow it against this account. There we go. So that's for setting up Amazon if you have a Kindle and you want to read that. Okay. Otherwise, if you clicked Libby, it would just say open book here, and it would just keep you within the app, and then you could read your book. All right. The other thing that you'll see is to manage your loan. So if we click on this, we'll see that this tells us when our book is due back. It tells us what library card it's checked out on. We could actually decide if we were reading it on a Kindle device, but we decided that we want to read it on a different device and read it within the Libby app. We could change that, and we get sent back to this menu, and we could say that we're going to read it within Libby. And then it's going to pull up the book for us. All right. And there you can see there's the book title for us. Okay. And let's go back. All right. Now if I click on Manage Loan again, I can return it early. So say I finish reading that book, I can go in and manually return that item back to the library so it gets into the next person's hand sooner. If I have borrowed this item and I would like to renew it, maybe I'm not quite done reading it and I would really like to extend it, as long as there are no other holds on that account, you should be able to renew the loan. You'll see that it's grayed out right now. That's because it's too new of a loan for you to renew it. You have to get within, I believe, 24 hours of your loan ending in order for you to renew it. But that certainly is an option. And then you can look at your reading journey. Because this one is a part of a series, it will show you other books that are within this series. You could share this title socially, if you'd like to. And you can see that this one has a tag on it as well. Okay, so there is our loan shelf. Now let's go ahead and look and see what it would look like if we placed a hold on something. So we're going to go back. And we're going to click, normally items that are really popular are on hold sometimes. It's a good place to look when you want to place holds for stuff that is buzzworthy. So we'll see, here's a copy of the Lincoln Highway, and this one says that we need to place a hold on it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click place hold. All right. And we sort of get a screen that looks similar to checkouts. It's telling us that we're placing a hold on the Lincoln Highway. It lets us know how many loans we have, how many holds we have. But beneath place hold, it actually gives us some interesting information that might be pertinent to us. It tells us how long they predict our wait to be. Okay, so this one's saying, several months. That looks alarming. It changes quite frequently because people are constantly returning items in a fairly regular manner. So Overdrive or Libby is doing its best to guess when you will actually get the book. But you'll see that it will quite frequently change as you go back and forth in the app. So you'll see that the other thing it lets you know is that there are 7 copies in use. There are 263 people waiting for it, and there are about 38 people per copy waiting, okay? So we're going to go ahead, and some people like this information. If they think that it's going to, be too long for them, they might decide, no, I'll go into the library and see if I can get it sooner, or, it doesn't really matter, and they still want to place the hold and just kind of have an idea of when they're going to get it. So we're going to go ahead and click place hold, and now we've placed a hold. It does give us options at the bottom as well. We can read the sample if we want. And then there's this one called suspend hold. This one is really great for titles that you do want to borrow, but that you might not want, within like the next few weeks or something, or you want to stagger your hold so they're not all coming in at the same time because you can't read them all at the same time. And then, of course, you have keep browsing or go to shelf. But let's go to suspend hold and look at that. Okay, you can see that it says you are updating a hold on the Lincoln Highway. And then using this bar, I can say I want to suspend this hold for so many days. All right, it goes to 30, and I think it jumps to like 180, right? Okay. So what this does is that by suspending a hold, you keep your place in the hold line, but it's saying you don't want it. So if you become the first person in the hold line and you have it suspended, it means, well, I don't want it quite yet. So it will go to the next person on the list, let them borrow it. And if you have, by the time that person returns it, your hold has unsuspended, you're now still the first person rather than going back to the bottom of the list. So suspending holds can be really nice in many cases because it allows you to stay at the top of the hold list, but give you a chance to suspend your holds if you're not quite ready for that title yet because you have decided to check out other items, whether it's physically or through your Overdrive app, okay? So once you decide how long you want to suspend that hold, you just go ahead and you click update, and there you go. So let's go to shelf and then look at what our holds look like. There's our holds. We can see it's suspended. All right. We see how long the hold is. We can manage the hold if we want. So we could, we could edit our suspension of our hold, or we could cancel the hold if we wanted to. We can read the sample if we wanted to as well. And this also allows you to edit your hold suspension as well. Okay, so now that we've looked at holds, let's just talk about tags real quick. So you'll see that when you first use tags that Libby pops up with a little helpful paragraph about what tags can be used for. The most common things that tags are used for is creating wish lists for things that people want to read because you only have so many loans and you only have so many holds. But there are plenty of different uses for tags that you might think of, but we're going to just talk about them and using them in terms of titles for, or in terms of using them for items that you want to check out. Excuse me. So we can see right now that we have a tag here for titles that I've borrowed from Libby. And here are the titles that we have currently borrowed. So there is one of our tags. Okay, and it actually doesn't look like I'm allowed to make tags using the browser edition, so we're not going to make a tag, but I'm going to see if I can show you real quick how, if it'll allow me to tag something within the one that's already created. So you access your tag section. You can create new tags by accessing that tag portion on your shelf. You would be able to add one. I just don't have that feature available to me. But if we were going to tag something, we would go ahead and we would click tag. And here we see that it's got my smart, here we see that I have smart tags and I can add a new tag. Something must have gotten changed around, but that's totally fine. We'll work with it. So we're going to go ahead and create a new tag. We can name the tag, all right, and we can put books to read, or TBR. Oh, it's too long. Okay, we'll just leave it with TBR. All right, and then you could add a description if you want. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave it at TBR. We're going to click done. And then we see that we now have that tagged as our to be read. So that's something that we would really like to read at some point. We could also tag audiobooks, create a wish list of audiobooks, create a new tag, and we could do, audio. And go ahead and click done. There we go. And when we go back over here, we can see that we have tags. Here is our audio one, and here's all the books or audiobooks that we've added so far. And then if we go back to tags and we click on TBR, here is all the books that we've added to our TBR. So that is how checkouts, holds, tags, and linking your Amazon account works within Libby. I hope that this tutorial was really helpful for you guys. My hope for these tutorials is that they will be a guide for you when the library isn't open, so that you guys have access to information that's easy to understand. But as always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to call the library, email us, stop on by. I'm happy to help anybody troubleshoot and get confident with using Libby by Overdrive. And I hope that you really get a chance to explore and have fun and find some great books using this wonderful resource. So that's it for me, everyone. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you with another tutorial soon. Happy reading!